Hello and welcome to the Nintendo Network and happy 1 year anniversary to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It is truly crazy to think the game is 1 year old. We've gotten updates and DLC characters and many more characters to come at least. Nintendo had a plan to truly make this Super Smash Bros. The ultimate game. But, and it's pretty obvious where I'm going with this because of the thumbnail, there is something in particular I feel escalates Ultimate but also holds it back at the same time, and that is the World of Light. I thought after a year it would be good to look back at the World of Light campaign and talk about what I feel is Ultimate's greatest weakness, and go over how I would change it. Before I dive in here, you might be wondering how I could hate World of Light when the past year I've been pushing out my explaining every spirit battle videos. Well, for me, the problem is not the spirit battles themselves, but they do become a catalyst in a way as to why World of Light doesn't work out fully. Overall, I do love the spirit battles. Most of them are clever, smart, house mini nods for fans of the franchise, and feel like 1300 plus event matches in a way. But how they get used while in World of Light start to become a problem. But I might be getting ahead of myself here. Let's go back to 2008 with Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Subspace spoiled us, let's get that clear. Well, story and crossover wise at least. Although not perfect by any means, the adventure mode for Brawl took all the different characters from different worlds and had them interact wonderfully, and without voice acting even, and it was really good. You got a sense of scope of what the fighters were against, you got tension and even humor. I still love Fox and Diddy interacting. But the locations in Subspace were pretty generic. Unlike Melee, where you were in the different worlds of the franchises and it felt fun to try to escape the space pirate ship as Pikachu instead of Samus. But Subspace gave us a story, light platforming between bigger battles, and for a lot of the characters, they got them pretty accurate. You know, beyond Pokemon Trainer needing a stock picture of Charizard to identify it for some reason. But the bar was set pretty high. What would Sakurai and his team have for us in Smash 4? Nothing. Okay, not nothing, but as most of you know, there is no adventure mode in Smash for Wii U or 3DS. This goes back to Sakurai not really happy with the cutscenes from Brawl making their way onto the fancy new YouTubes and other places on the internet. I mean, now in 2019, almost 2020, that seems crazy for a game developer to expect their cutscenes not to appear online, but back in 2008, it was a much different time. Heck, Brawl began development in 2005, the same year YouTube became, well, a thing, so that was not even a thought in Sakurai's mind. But hey, we got Master and Crazy Orders, that made up for us not getting a huge multi-character crossover event, right? Right? Okay, it really didn't. But as we were fed information in 2018 about Ultimate, the mysterious green section of the homepage made many people wonder what it could be. And indeed, it was where the newest adventure mode was housed, the World of Light. And in November, when we got the opening trailer for the mode, well, to put it lightly, that is an amazing way to start your adventure mode. All these heroes and villains ready to take on an army of Master Hands, and then nearly all of them get blasted by mysterious beams of light, except Kirby, who went so fast he disappeared out of our dimension for a few minutes and then came back and saw he was all that was left. The trailer itself is also full of smart nods that might be hard to catch, from Shulk's ability to see the future, Pit and Patu losing the power of flight when Palutena was hit by the beams, to giving a legit reason to Sonic not being able to outrun the beams by slowing down in attempts to save Pikachu. And with this trailer basically a month before launch, I'd say 70 to 80% of us were thinking this.
I'm hoping all this aligns exactly with my fanfic, Stan. If not, I will be very disappointed.
But realistically, we needed to stay grounded. Sakurai confirmed not many cutscenes, but that didn't mean no story. And yes, by the technical terms of story, there is one. But what we got was, okay, let's get into this really. Nearly 800 words into the script. So before I go any further, this is your spoiler warning. The next scene is showcasing the captured fighters and how the puppet fighters are created, and then the spirits being used to control them, and then showing off an army of fighter puppets, setting up to why Kirby is fighting 100 different Marios as they are all clones. This continues to set up a strong story, giving context to why there are so many different fighters of the same fighter, setting expectations pretty high. Then the grind begins. We will get to that later. You travel the World of Light and collect spirits through spirit battles, and then unlock fighters and save them and use them as you want. There are 3 bosses in this area with Giga Bowser, Gallium, and Rathalos, which start to make you question a few things. I give Giga Bowser a pass, as Bowser is in this universe. But where in the multiverse did Rathalos come from? There is zero indication of anything else Monster Hunter, not even a spirit. Look, I think it's pretty cool Rathalos is in it, but context is important, especially when up until now we've gotten context for many things. Then there's Gallium, and where exactly did he come from? Last we saw in Brawl, he was destroyed. But in the moment of first battling him, you might start to think, a connection to Brawl perhaps? Is Galeen somehow related to Taboo? So you continue your grind of spirit battles, and then you make your way to Galeen. And after a fight with the giant Lord of Light, and awesome music to boot, we run into our next cutscene. You see that the victory over Galeen is truly short-lived as a crack in the sky opens, revealing an army of crazy hands and the Lord of Darkness, Darkon. Weakened, Galeen and his army of Master Hands are forced to retreat. Darkness envelops the world of light into the world of darkness, and hooray, more grinding. So you fight and 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 you fight, and you get the point. As you finish the world of darkness, the next scene showcasing Darkon and Galeen battling, and oh look, the fighters we know and love are finally here in the scene. For a moment. Mostly the back of their heads. After that, you get a clever map where you can fight dark or light fighters, and depending on how you do, the opposing side will envelop more of the map. But now we get to 3 endings, and I truly hate multiple endings, I really do. So you can choose to defeat Darkon alone, resulting in Galeen destroying it, and then enveloping the world in light once again. If you decide to defeat Galeen, Darkon uses chains, dark chains if you will, to defeat Galeen, and then Mario falls down, seemingly dying, as the world is engulfed in darkness. Hello, my old friend. But the good ending, and I assume canonical ending for this, is if you evenly defeat the light and dark spirits, you get to play as Master Hand, as you have to destroy an army of dark puppets, which is really a huge highlight for the mode. You then have to battle both Galeen and Darkon at the same time. Defeating them causes them to fall into the ocean and explode, releasing all the spirits as they ascend into the afterlife, are free to return their own worlds. You know, nobody really knows. Yeah, it is not 100% clear, and I've seen a bit of debate online what it all means. I personally go with they are free to go to the afterlife, as they are spirits, and seemingly their bodies were destroyed by Galeen. So yeah, that is World of Light, and the explanation didn't take that long, but the whole campaign is around 15 to 20 hours if you collect all the spirits. What makes matters worse is the grinding I spoke of earlier. The spirit battles themselves are great, but doing them for hours after hours, one after another, with seemingly no end in sight is overwhelming and drains you. Then there are people who played World of Light, but only after they were done thought, hey, recording and documenting every spirit battle for my YouTube channel is a smart idea. Oh god, what is my life? Yes, the grind hurts World of Light, but it could be forgivable if not for the payoff, or better words would be the lack thereof. Super Smash Bros. Is one of the biggest crossovers ever, and the main story barely has the fighters in it. Beyond seeing the back of their heads here and there, after the opening scenes and showing the fighter puppets, they almost just don't matter. It'd be like in Avengers Infinity War, you had the random alien hordes fighting the Wakanda army. Yeah, it's cool, but without relatable characters we know and love, it's kinda bland. We wanted more interaction like how Marth, Pit, and Zelda were for a few seconds in the opening, but Sakurai did say little cutscenes, and oh, we got little. And after completing World of Light twice, the experience as a whole leaves you pretty empty, thinking so much more could have happened, should have happened. There's a reason people look back at Subspace so fondly, because there are a lot of epic moments for so many different fans. Link and Zelda working with Ganondorf reluctantly after he realizes Taboo double-crossed him. Rob trying to stop the other Robs from detonating the X-bombs. Marth and Meta Knight teaming up. To the most epic scene of the different ships of the characters racing towards the huge gun the villains made, and Kirby using the Dracoon to destroy it. And so many more. But beyond the 2 cutscenes at the start of World of Light, the others are just meh. And meh should never be a word uttered for Super Smash Bros. But let's be respectful though. I understand making a cutscene is not easy, cheap, or quick. Time, resources, and money all play a factor here. They went in knowing cutscenes were limited, and then the format they did was you had a free map to travel around as you pleased. Some sections are more late game, but essentially you choose what fighters you collect and win, making cutscenes awkward. You could also avoid unlocking some characters and still complete World of Light. So let's say you skip getting Marth, but the Darkon reveal scene shows Marth battling or something. It would make no narrative sense, and making a scene for every possible situation is rather asinine and such a waste of resources. But I mentioned fixing it, right? Well, let's go over a few things. First and foremost, I don't want this fix to deviate too far what we already have. I mean, anyone can say I can fix this by changing everything. Because the concept of World of Light I do enjoy, I unfortunately don't have much in the way of fixing the grinding, other than adding some stages like the platforming stuff from Subspace to travel to one set piece to another. But the focus is spirit battles, and I don't want to stray too far from that. Here, I feel my changes are simple-ish, sort of. Let me get into this. We don't need dozens of cutscenes. I said need, not want, because I would love more, but I'm trying to be realistic. But we could have moments in the game to go over plot details and explain the Super Smash Bros. Universe more. You know how in games you see two characters interacting like this? Well, along the way, let's say Mario is saved right after you start, you get a scene like this, where Mario explains Galeem's plan a bit more, explaining to the audience that Mario didn't get to learn too much, but the other fighters might. And here's the biggest change. When you get to the path like here early on, you can choose to get Marth, Villager, or Sheik. Then keep us on that path. Yes, we will come back around eventually, but this way we can add some narrative to the story. Have Marth mention the situation is worth in the Taboo debacle. That alone gives some more lore, meaning this all happens in the same canon, because as of now it seems like these events are very separate. Even mention Master Core. Have Bowser begrudgingly thanking the fighters for helping him from Galeem's control as Giga Bowser. And in this situation, with still pictures or even idle animations from the characters, if you want to get fancy, sometimes give some differences. Like if Mario is the one to defeat Giga Bowser, Bowser is even more ashamed to be saved by Mario of all people. This also gives opportunities to more nods to the different franchises. For example, have a little jingle when Isabelle talks, like when you would talk to a townsperson in the Animal Crossing games, and have someone more on the serious side, like Snake mention it after a few interactions, almost as if he's going a little crazy. Have Simon and Richter mistake Wii Fit Trainer for a vampire due to her pale skin, or have someone like Dedede or Ganondorf constantly talking to Pokemon and getting annoyed they don't understand them, until later in the game when they say something like, "Oh no, now I'm starting to understand what they're saying." This would add some much needed depth into the game, and having different paths to take that are much more linear helps more than the freedom map in my opinion. But that is just one part of this. I think the cutscenes we have after the first ones need altered completely to include the characters that we've saved so far. But what if you don't save one like I mentioned before? Well, instead of the barrier that unlocked it by hitting switches, let's say you can't tackle Galeem until all the heroes are unlocked, well, the ones in this section of the game. It might seem a bit more restrictive, but I think it can help in the long run. So you defeat Galeem in a new cutscene, this time showing a few fighters, let's say Kirby, Mario, Link, and Hit, doesn't really matter, striking Galeem with a powerful blow. Other fighters are defeating Master Hands left and right and cheer as they see Galeem weakened. This is when Darkon breaks into our reality? Seriously, what is that all about, shattering into the sky? Oh well. This is when the crazy hands start to swoop in and not only destroy the weakened Master Hands, but start attacking the fighters. They hold their own for a bit, but they are weakened from their fight with Galeem. That is when Galeem charges Darkon and the crazy hands turn their attention to their master, and the fighters use this chance to retreat and reform a plan. The rest of the cutscene can play out the same with the darkness taking over. From the World of Darkness, pretty much the same stuff as the World of Light, but maybe have the team split into 3 groups and go down the 3 paths. That way there could be more focused conversations, perhaps again giving more context. Maybe in Dracula's castle they find out that Galeem is a revived Taboo or something like that, maybe an evolved form of his. More fun conversations like Wolf wondering why there are so many Links, but K. Rool chiming in that he thinks it's the same Link but he changes his costume all the time, just like K. Rool has done in the past. Pit being scared of Marks, commenting how he'd rather fight Hades again, and Kirby and Dedede giving him moral support. Maybe even have Mario and Sonic talk about their competitive past and the nod to the Olympic Games a bit. And maybe Sonic challenging Mario to see who can save more spirits. I push this a lot because games like Project X Zone work in the character development because of these interactions. Characters from different worlds who live very different lives interacting with each other is what makes crossovers so exciting and interesting. Take Bowser and Ridley, 2 big villains but very different. Have Bowser mention how he hates Mario so much and will do anything to stop him. Ridley encourages him to do the most devious thing in his mind. Bowser then spurts out throwing a shell at him while kart racing. Then have Ridley confused at how vastly different the hero-villain relationship is between them. Back on track, you save all but the final 2 heroes and you get to the big light-dark area at the end of the game, and this can play out pretty similar. Let Roy and Palutena, once saved, go more in depth in Galeem's winning a perfect world it controls. That when it was taboo years ago, the trophy idea didn't work, so he thought he could use spirits to control the puppet fighters, but needed to evolve into a pure light and became Galeem. But this evolution caused him to split from the darkness part of him, and Dracoon was born. But the new Galeem banished him to the Shadow Realm. Yeah, we're going with Shadow Realm. But when Galeem was weakened, Darkon was able to break free. There, context. Context on where the villains came from, why they're fighting, connecting back to Brawl. I mean, was it that hard? Was it? Sorry, I wanted so much more for this story and it was so simple. Alright, From there, keep things same mostly. The 2 bad endings are honestly fine for what they are and really don't need changed. Keep the Master Hand battle because of the epicness, but the ending we got. The 2 beans are destroyed falling into the ocean. Cool, but we need some context on what is happening, honestly a conclusion of sorts to the semi-story. Why? Well, because, and I know this is said every time, but it very well could be the last Sakurai Smash game we get. I'm wanting closure on the Sakurai saga of Smash, as everyone is here is hard to pull off once again. So here are my thoughts. Once the spirits are free, they float towards the fighters, all of them somewhat drawn to the characters of their own series. Have the Polterpup spirit spin around Luigi. Have Mega Man look on at X, Volnut, Geostellar, and .exe spirits and all, almost looking into his own legacy. Have the Peppy and Slippy spirits surround Fox and Falco, and the members of Star Wolf surround Wolf. Then portals appear above everyone. The fighters all look up into them, seeing their own worlds, their own dimensions. The spirits all begin to ascend to the portals as the fighters all give each other one last look. Have Mario say, "Until we meet again." Sorry, I can't do a Mario voice. As the fighters begin to jump into their own portals, back into their own worlds. The credits can roll, play Lifeline, and because we are a society that loves mid-credit sequences, have a moment where the camera pans to a cave or something and we see Master Chord and a dark, quiet chuckle. And there is how I would fix World of Light. Look, I don't hate the mode, but it just left me wishing for so much more. More context to the Smash universe, more interaction with the fighters, just more. And normally I would say it is a good thing when something leaves you wanting more. Normally they did something right, but World of Light was different. I truly appreciate the mode. I love the spirit battles, although context of the battles would have been nice, but hey, it gives me an opportunity to have a whole series of videos about them. I do think Ultimate wears that name proudly, and it has every right to. And I don't think implementing my ideas or something similar would have been too much extra work, and would have made for a richer experience of World of Light. If you love World of Light, that is awesome. There is nothing wrong with that. But for myself, maybe I put the idea on too high of a pedestal. Perhaps I put too much into that opening movie we saw, or perhaps I'm asking for too much, but regardless, maybe one day we can get something like Subspace once again. Taking the best of that and World of Light to bring us a crossover game like never before. But happy birthday, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's been a year of fun, and I can't wait for what more surprises you have in store for us with the upcoming DLC. Thank you for joining me here at the Nintendo Network. What is your favorite part of Smash Ultimate? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and consider helping me out on Patreon. As always, this is the Nintendo Network signing off.